Welcome to A1R Psychic Radio here on Moonstruck TV with Amanda Hall Psychic all the way from the Gold Coast. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic week wherever you are in this planet of ours. Isn't it interesting to see how political sort of arenas are playing out around the world? Everybody seems to be jumping and dancing to different tunes and sort of trying to sort things out. Let's hope that they find some sort of resolution in the Middle East, that we can get a permanent ceasefire there. That would be amazing, and followed by Ukraine, and then the world would be a much more peaceful place. We can always hope, and we can always live in positive energy, hoping for the best possible outcome for things that are happening around the world. So in our part of the world this week, it's the Simply Tarot card of the week, which is called the Ace of Cups. Now, the Ace of Cups is the offer of is the card of security, but it's also the offer of a helping hand. And that's why I brought up about the trouble in the Middle East. And, we're looking at a potential ceasefire there, for even if it is only temporary, that maybe, just maybe, with a card like this coming out for the week, maybe we can offer to give people around us a helping hand, that maybe we can make things a little bit brighter, a little bit better for the people that are in our little universe. And sometimes just by being there and giving somebody that emotional support, or your offer of emotional support, or anything that I can do. Can I bake you a pie? Can I do this? Can I pick the kids up from school? Can sometimes be the turning point in somebody's week, that finally that somebody does care, and it just takes that little bit of pressure off somebody. It's a really positive card. It's a lovely card. To me, it's a card that sort of says everything's going to be right with our world, even if it is only temporary, because we've got the divine hand here. We've got somebody offering a helping hand, whether that's coming from a divine place, or whether it's coming from your neighbour, or somebody close to you, or somebody that you've never met before. Sometimes we randomly meet people in a shopping centre and they become our new best friend. So this week, astrologically, I'm going to call it the Taurus show, because just about every planet's sitting in Taurus, or that's what it feels like at the moment too. I know I've been banging on for a little while now on the show that I've never seen in all the years I've been in astrology, which has been over 40 years. I've never seen such a concentration of energy all in sort of a very small sector of the zodiac, because the zodiac wheel is actually 360 degrees in circumference. And what I'm talking about is there's a lot of concentration in just about 90 to 95 degrees. And that's a very small portion of 360 degrees. So it feels like that everything sort of seems to be stuck. It's not stuck. Things are still moving. Things are still moving around the universe. It's just that this is where the planetary configuration is at the moment, and it's sort of the intensity is there. So I'm going to talk about Taurus quite a lot. Now, when I talk about Taurus, I'm talking about the other signs of Virgo, Capricorn, and the opposite sign of Scorpio. But what that means for the rest of the 8 signs is this energy is also applicable to you. It's just in a more watered down sort of form. So it's not as intense. It's not something that you really have to get overly excited about. Yes, be aware of it. Work with the energy. Don't try and fight it. And I think that's one of the biggest problems we have as human beings. Somebody says, oh, no, you can't do that, and say, just watch me. And we tend to do that even on an astrological front. If, we're given some pearls of wisdom there of how to handle our week or what's going on, we think, oh, that doesn't apply to me. I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And then when we find things become difficult, or they're not as easy as we thought, we think, oh, maybe there was something in that. So maybe, just maybe, for the first time in a long time, maybe we should work with the energy, or try and work with the energy instead of against it. Maybe things will just become that little bit easier. I'm not going to say everything's going to be perfect. There's nothing perfect in life. It's always about how we perceive something, how much energy we put into something, and whether it's right for us too. Don't forget, the universe has the master plan in their hand. We're only trying to be mere mortals here, trying to interpret what is in the heavens and what the heavenly bodies are starting to share with us. So we've got Venus, the planet of love and affection, is sitting in Taurus, holding hands or conjunct the moon. Now, the moon is the emotional planet. Venus is the planet of love and affection, or where we look for the pretty things in our lives. The moon is our emotions. Now, our emotions aren't always on an upward beat. Sometimes our emotions are a little bit more on the negative side, or a little bit on the melancholy side. So we need to be aware of that here. Just because we've got Venus holding hands with the moon doesn't mean everything's happy joy in our love life, or that we're going to attract a wonderful new partner. It just means that our emotions are heightened. Yes, we are feeling comfortable because Venus is back in its own sign of Taurus. So Venus feels very comfortable here. The moon doesn't feel quite as comfortable here, because the moon doesn't like to feel stuck. And because Taurus is such a fixed energy, the moon sometimes can feel a little bit uncomfortable here. Now, we've got the moon conjunct or holding hands, what's known as an Arabian part, which is where we're looking for the joy in our lives, where we're looking for what's known as the part of fortune, where we're looking to bring things to a conclusion, where we're looking for the utmost in what we can achieve in our life. Now, the part of fortune is also conjunct or holding hands the sun in Taurus. So happy birthday to all the Taurians, as we're nearly, we're about halfway through the Taurian energy for this year. So we've got still quite a few birthdays to come. So it's really interesting when you put these things together. If you were searching for new love, regardless of your sign, I'm going to suggest to you that you start looking in places that bring you some sort of joy. Now, it could be an art gallery, it could be going to the swimming pool, it could be taking up hockey, it could be taking up mosaics, it could be anything that gives you joy. Now, by doing that, let's hope then that you're going to places where you're going to meet other people. If you're a female seeking a male companion, well, there's not much point in taking up flower arranging, is there? Because I don't know too many men that are going to go to flower arranging classes that you're going to potentially meet the love of your life. So we need to be looking at places where there's a mixture of people so that we can broaden our horizons on the people that we could meet. And sometimes we need to sort of take the emotion out of the situation that sort of, yes, okay, Venus is conjunct the moon, but we don't always have to be looking at it in an emotional way. We could be looking at it in a nice dreamy sort of way of looking at the moon and daydreaming and saying, oh, wow, I wish upon the moon for my new love. Let's turn it into a positive. So because we've got the part of fortune there, doesn't mean that this, the next person that comes into your life is going to be filthy rich. It just means that this is something that's going to be, that's a very fortunate position to put you in. And it's a time to shine. So, with it being in Taurus, with the sun sitting here, I'd be looking at Taurian type of things, maybe go to a new restaurant, maybe go to something that's connected to the arts or the theatre or something where there's lots of people and something that's very creative, because the Taurus energy does like comfort. It does like food too, and it likes sweet things in life, but it also likes to be entertained. It likes, it admires the beauty in things. So, go to something like that, go to a trade show on jewelry, something that's sort of different, something out of your wheelhouse if you're seeking love. Now, we also have Uranus, the planet of the unusual and the unexpected, has been sitting in Taurus for some time now. I've been talking about this for a matter of weeks now, where it's been conjunct Jupiter, the planet of opportunity and expansion and luck. Now, this conjunction or the holding hands situation is getting wider and wider by the day. Soon we won't have this in our orbit. Again, it's sitting in Taurus. So Uranus is the planet of the unusual and the unexpected. So it's like the bolt of lightning. It can strike out of nowhere. Now, Jupiter is the planet of expansion and opportunity, and that also means expanding waistlines. So be very careful here. If you are one of those earth signs, you could find at the moment you've got a really sweet tooth and really craving things that aren't necessarily good for us on a daily basis. Okay to have a treat, but it's not, shouldn't be the main focus of, eating things that we know that are overly sweet or not good for us. So we also have to be aware here, Jupiter is the planet of expansion and opportunity, but also Jupiter can take things away from you if it considers you're being too greedy. So you have to be really careful here. It is a balancing act. Yes, on one hand, Jupiter can bring opportunities and open doors for you that haven't opened previously, and it can happen suddenly because of Uranus. But if you lose sight of what you were actually aiming for, or you start to become greedy or doing it for the wrong reasons, then Jupiter will snatch it right out of your hands very, very quickly with the help of Uranus. So please be aware of that. Make sure things are in balance. We have Mercury, the planet of communication, is actually sitting in Aquarius at the moment. Now, this is a really nice place for Mercury to be sitting at the moment. No, Mercury's in Aries, I beg your pardon. And it's a really nice place for it to be sitting. So I want you to sort of understand that everything at the moment, as far as a communication level, is really sort of a positive time. It's like, let's make hay while the sun shines. We've got lots of opportunity to get messages out there, to get people to really listen to us and really be aware of what it is that we're trying to achieve in our lives at the moment. And that's a really, really good thing. Now, it's interesting because I feel that, with Mercury in Aries and it's conjunct Chiron, the planet that's the wounded healer, or what's known as the wounded healer in a chart, we have an opportunity for all the fire signs, particularly that's Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, to really be able to capture and sort of sort through any emotional problem, any baggage that we might have brought in from a past life. It's the time that we can have some very, very healing conversations with family and friends. And we need to be very aware of what's actually happening in our universe. So the opposite sign of Aries is Libra. So it's just going to wash over the other signs. It's sort of like a time of great healing. Communication can be the greatest healer if we really put our listening ears on and listen to what somebody else is saying, that their point of view is equally as important. Now, we have Pluto, the planet of transformation, has just gone into Aquarius earlier in this year, and it's going to be there for a very, very, very long time. So it's like we really need to be aware and understand what it is that's actually going on with Pluto sitting in Aquarius. Now, Pluto's trying to transform things. It's trying to ask us that we need to look at things through a different set of eyes. Sometimes we need to think outside the square. Maybe we need to look for different abstract solutions in trying to sort out life's problems. Now, the sextile here is to Mars in Aries. So it's a really interesting combination, because on one hand, you're being asked to be individual, be different, think outside the square, be bold, sort of look at how you can improve your life and improve the life of those around you. And then we have the sextile in Mars sitting in Aries that's sort of saying, hang on a minute, what about me? Because the Aries energy can be quite selfish, can be quite self-centered, but we need that too, because sometimes we need that motivation to get up off the couch. So I think as long as you have got one eye on other people around you and not looking at things in a negative, then I think that you can look at this in a positive way for what it is, that Pluto is trying to transform things in as much as the love that I'm going to give out to everybody, but also at the same time taking care of me. So we're going to take our first caller, which is Aubrey in Columbus in Georgia in the USA. Are you there, Aubrey? Hello? Are you there? Oh, well, looks like Aubrey's left us for the moment. I'll just keep trying to see if we can get Aubrey back. If not, I'll keep talking about astrology. So we'll just keep talking for a little bit. So, with Pluto in Aquarius, it's going to be there for 20 odd years. So we've got a long time to really sort of understand what is actually sort of happening there and what is actually happening. Is Aubrey there now?
Yes. Hi, I'm here.
Hi, sweetie. Do you have a question I can answer for you,
Hi.
darling?
Um, Not really, other than I just started a business and
Mhm.
so far it's going well. Just wanted to know, like, what do you see in the future for this
Okay.
business?
All right. Really, really interesting, because as you were talking about, and I know you said you've only just started, but what the universe was showing me or sharing with me was that there's still going to be some more changes to come with this. What you've started
Hmm.
with isn't what we're going to end up with. It's like that's the beginning point, and I'm going to see you sort of manipulate, maneuver things around, and sort of jiggle things around until you get it to a point that you feel that this is it. This is really comfortable. So don't be too cranky with yourself that, if you started out selling oranges and you end up selling apples, it doesn't matter. It's the fact that you're
Hmm.
having a go, that you're doing something that you're really passionate about. And I think it's going to grow and blossom with you. And sometimes, it's just that initial starting point that we need something to get off the ground. So does it have a creative flair to what you're doing?
It's cleaning, commercial
Cleaning.
properties.
Okay, I don't know if I necessarily call that creative, but it may just be the way that you go about it. Have you got a different sort of system to other people? Have you got it to a point that you feel that you could replicate this?
Well, I received my first like major contract last month,
Right.
and I have to trust other people to clean it, and
Yes,
I'm
of
just
course.
having doubts that they may mess it up for me. Sure.
Oh, of course you are, because like that's the one thing, and it's the beauty of being self-employed is that we're so confident in our own abilities that we don't know that we can let the reins go and have trust someone else to do it as well as we can. It was interesting because they showed it to me as a creative endeavor, and I've never thought of cleaning as a creative endeavor. But maybe you're going to
Mhm.
be creative in the way that you do it, that you're going to have a system that like as you hire people to do the work for you, that you'll have a system that, this is what you follow, like the ABCs. This is how we do things. We have a set system. We have a set, way that we approach something. And I think by doing that, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't be the boss. You've got to be the boss. You've got to be the leader, but in a way that I think that you can make it sort of fun. You know what I mean? Like, instead of just giving somebody a plain piece of paper with this is your list of duties, maybe you can put a bit of colour on there and make it a bit fun, or a pretty picture next to it or something like that to lighten it up, that everybody sort of gets
Right.
the feeling that this is serious, but at the same time we can have a bit of fun. We can laugh and sing, while we're working if no one's around. You know what I mean? Make it a happy
Yeah.
environment. And I think you'll get more out of your employees that way, or the people that are working under you. I think this is just the beginning. I think you're going to end up with a number of really big contracts, and that's what I could see. It wasn't going to, as it started out, isn't where it's going to finish. And it probably just started out with you and a couple of trusty helpers, and you're going to expand it out to be something that's going to become really big. I'm not saying that it's going to end up being a franchise, but what I'm saying is I think you're going to end up with more than one group of people working under you. You'll have different groups of people on different sites doing different jobs, and it's just going to continue to grow. So keep going. I think you're on a winner here. You're making it fun, but you're also you're putting out there that what you do is very thorough, very professional, that the companies that hire you will be able to rely on you, and I think that's really important.
Yeah. True. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
You're very, very welcome. We're going to talk with Katie now in White River in Vermont. Are you there, Katie?
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you, Katie. Do you have a question I can answer for you, sweetie?
Um, I guess just a general whatever you see. I didn't think
Okay.
of a question, to be honest.
No, that's okay. I always ask just in case there's something in particular that you've rung into the show for, and I want to make sure that we get to that. Really, really interesting what they're showing me around you, Katie. It's sort of almost like the year has sort of almost come to a standstill for you at the moment. And I don't want you to panic by me saying that. What it means is I think you're actually a little bit ahead of the timetable that the universe had set down for you. You've been such a good girl and so diligent in, what you had to achieve, that you've actually ahead of time. So it's like, just enjoy this little bit of, nothing time where I can just do as I please for the moment. It's only going to be for a week or two, and then things start to ramp up again. Are you looking at a new job, or have you been thinking about that? Because they're showing me sort of question marks around a job and around study.
Yeah. Yeah, I am pondering a couple of business ideas.
Right. But they're showing me study connected to it. So I'm looking at, when they show me study, that to me means that there's something we've still got to learn or something we've got to explore. I'm not saying go back and do a university degree. I'm just saying, if you've been pondering a couple of business ideas, is there something more that you need to learn? Sometimes when we sort of decide to go in business, we've got this great idea, but we have no business ability. Do you know what I mean? We lack in that area, and that's why I think a lot of small businesses fail. Got a brilliant idea, but no idea how to run a business. Maybe that's the area that you need to sort of look at. What are your skills in that area? What do you know about it? What do you know about, any government compliance with a business that you might be looking to go into? They're all forms of study, because we've got to do the research. We've got to understand it completely, not just I've got this great idea. I'm not trying to talk you out of it. I think it's a great idea. I think more it will come together around August, September this year. It's sort of like we're slowly building towards that. Also, I want to say to you, was 2023, was that a really difficult year emotionally?
Last year, yeah, yeah,
Because they're showing me that we're not quite there yet. Like there's still a tiny little bit more we've got to let go of. It was sort of like last year, it was sort of like you really had to put your house in order, was how they showed it to me on an emotional front. It's like I let go of a number of things. I came to terms with some things I can't change. And it's like now I feel like I'm empowered now, and that's good. That's a really nice position to be in. Who's the dark-headed man? And I don't mean your love interest. Who's the dark-headed man that, I don't know whether you had a falling out with? It's like, I want to bring him back into your life. Who's that?
Um,
You may not be
I
able to think of it
nobody
off the top of your head. Okay, but it is
currently.
somebody that I want to be very clear. It was never a love interest. I felt this man was older than you, but it was as if we've had a disagreement or an argument over something, and it's like we need to mend that fence. I don't know why, but they've shown it to me 3 times as being important. So I can't tell you any more than other than he had dark hair, and it was I got almost just a little bit of the side view of a, I know it was a male, but I know he's got dark hair, and I felt he was older than you. So I'll leave that with you. That will come to you. Whatever that is, it doesn't necessarily mean that you've got to backtrack and turn around and say you were sorry just to mend the fence. It's like we've got to clear that for whatever reason. We've got to either make up with that person or clear it completely, because that's the final part of last year's letting go of sort of the emotional stuff that you were working through. And it's like that's the final piece to that. And then once we get past that point, it's like everything, we throw the doors open and the sunshine comes in. So have you got 2 ideas that you're looking at as far as potential business ideas?
Uh, kind of like, yeah, I think so, but I'm trying to figure out if I should blend them, like if one leads into the other.
I don't think that's a bad idea. I think that's a very good idea, because I don't think they
Okay.
should be separate. I think somehow or another we've got to weave them together, even if we start off with one and then with the
Yep.
intention somewhere a bit further down the track when, money permitting, the right timing or whatever, we weave the other one into it. To me, it's not saying one's any stronger than the other. So it's not a matter of which one do we start with first. You'll know that on an intuitive level, which way we go first. And then we'll be able to weave the other one in, I think, somewhere in that first 6 to 12 months. And then I think we're going to weave in a third part to that, but that'll be a bit further down the track. So it's like slow and steady is going to win this race. It's not something that you can, jump out the starting gate 100 mile an hour. We've got to take this
Yeah.
very slowly and make sure that we've got a good solid foundation underneath it, and make sure that we understand there seems to be a lot of complexity with rules or regulations behind this. Does that fit with what you're
Yeah.
planning on doing? Yeah, because to me, I keep
Yes,
looking at that.
absolutely.
All this paperwork I got to go through, like that's the hard part. That's the drudgery part. What you're planning to do is exciting, but it's like we've got to
Yeah.
make sure that we've got this rock solid foundation underneath it. Nothing can come back to bite you. And that's really, really important. I think that's where they brought in the little bit of the study.
Yep.
It's going to seem like going back to school, going through the complexities of what needs to be put in place to get this off the ground. But I think it's a brilliant idea. Whatever it is, it's great. I think you're going to do very well with it. It's something that people are going to turn around and say, gee, I didn't know I needed it until I saw it. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah. It does. It does.
Yeah. Because a lot of people can say, oh, gee, that's a wonderful idea. Oh, I didn't know I needed that. And it's sort of like, we call it here in Australia the bush telegraph, but it's sort of like a word of mouth thing. Like this day, I suppose it'd be the cell phone telegraph. Everybody's going to get on their cell phone and say, oh, have you seen this and have you seen that? And, the social medias and things like that. So it's going to grow organically in that sort of way. It's a word of mouth situation that's really going to make it explode. But you have to make sure that we have this beyond a rock solid foundation. We've got to build it on granite, not on quicksand. So you've got to make sure that
Yep.
you cover all those bases. And when you think you've covered them all, go back and triple check that you have. I just don't want
Okay.
anybody to be able to come in and undermine you in any way, because there's always
Okay.
that risk. I mean, you can have a brilliant idea and somebody else gets jealous. It's just the way of the
Yeah.
world. So I want to
Yep.
make sure that everything is rock solid for you. But I know you're going to do really well, Katie. You're on a winner here, sweetie. So I wish you well
Oh,
with that.
thank you.
You're
Thank you
very,
so
very
much.
welcome.
That was so helpful. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very welcome, but it's just such a great idea. Not that they showed me what the idea was, they just showed me the information around it. But to me, it was something that was going to be life-changing like sliced bread. People are just it's going to become part of everyday life. And people can say, I didn't know I needed that until I got it. And it's a wonderful feeling. I mean, I think anytime you can go into business and, yes, of course we go into business to make money, but if you can go into business and change even just one person's life with what you're doing, that's the greatest reward. That's better than any
That
money.
is the goal.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah,
what I
that's the
see
goal.
around this. it's life changing, and people are going to be emotional and happy and thank you. And it's sort of like, I can see people holding onto your hands, not wanting to let go, and saying, you don't understand what you've done for me, you've changed my life. And that's the greatest reward. I mean, yes, we all got to have money, but that's the reward that you're looking for. And it's really beautiful, Katie. Been a pleasure to work with you.
Thank you.
So isn't it lovely when you meet people like Katie and Aubrey, where they're starting to sort of embark on new journeys, they're stepping out of their comfort zone, they're going into business, and we need people like that. We need people with that pioneering spirit that are prepared to take a risk and jump into something and do something that they're passionate about, even if I didn't think cleaning was terribly creative, not in my house anyway. It's not one of my favourite chores, but there's people that we are passionate about things like that. And that's what makes the world go round. We're all different. We're all individuals. We all have something else that we get excited about, and that's what makes the world such an interesting and fascinating place. And it's really important, and it's nice to see such women stepping out of their comfort zones and really sort of stepping up to the mark and sort of saying, I can do this. And it's really special. And I think really special more so this week, as here in Australia, and I know in the US of A, it's Mother's Day on the weekend. And, we have some really important role models out there. We have some wonderful women that are leading the world in many, many professions in many, many ways. And even if they're just a stay-at-home mum, that's a really, really important job too, because they're raising our future generations, and that's a really important role. And I think we underestimate what motherhood is really about, and the role that mothers take. They become everything: the chief cook and bottle washer and nurse and storyteller and everything. They're everything to a child, and we shouldn't underestimate that. So we really need to take the time and celebrate our mums while they're with us. And for those of you that have lost your mum, I understand it's going to be a difficult time, but you can celebrate your mum even if she's not here in a very, very special way. So this week I'm going to leave you with an extra special song that I really think is really fitting for all the mums. And even if you're not in our part of the world or in the USA where we're celebrating Mother's Day, it's still happy Mother's Day to wherever you are in the world. And I'm going to leave you with this beautiful Stevie Wonder song, Isn't She Lovely? So until next week, you are lovely. We'll see you then. Bye for now.